Hello, Bono.
Speed dating.
It's actually the best speed dating ever.
It's all about the aftershave.
But no, it's thank you for thank you for taking the time.
Oh, come on. Stories of Surrender is an autobiographical documentary film, and what struck me is that it really looks like you. You know, it's a music show, but also a confession, somewhere between the TED Talk, the stand-up comedy, the film daughter.
Ah.
How did you come up with this idea?
You sometimes just need a new medium to be yourself, to be... I felt I'd lost a bit of myself. I become a bit of a caricature of myself. I helped. I did stupid shit and I got good at it. And I just thought, you know, there's a whole other dimension in between, and shading, I suppose you could call it, and that I needed to write about and then perform and own up to.
It's a very intimate movie, Bono. For example, when you talk about your mother, who died when you were only 14, what person did you become after this tragedy?
I suppose I put my fists up, and we all do. It's a protective thing, and our house became simply that, just a house, no longer a home. There was my father, my older brother, just shouting at each other, and all the pain of the loss of this woman was felt, but not spoken. And her name was never spoken.
Would you say it shaped the artist that you become?
Yeah, because you get a chance to turn that hole, into that wound, into an opening, into something extraordinary. You get to turn your pain, your rage, into beauty, into music.
What about your father, who's a central figure, a central character in this movie?
He's the star of this film.
Isn't he?
I get to play him by just turning my head.
How would you define your relationship?
Very combative. By playing him every night in this play, I started to like him though more. I always loved him, but I started to like him more, and I started to realize he was funnier than me.
What would you think he would have thought of the movie? His words?
Oh, a load of bollocks. A load of bollocks. And he didn't know, he had an unusual way of saying, I love you.
You know, the great thing about the movie is that you think it would be a story just about yourself, but it's actually a collective stories with a lot of characters. And I'm wondering...
they wrote it. You know, if you think about it, all those characters, you know, Edge, Adam, Larry, you know, the members of U2, my wife, who I met the same week, I dated the same week, I joined U2 in high school, you know, met each other at the same time. They wrote this story too.
Did you get comments from the members of U2?
Oh, I think Larry only likes Westerns. What was it? Adam was like, he said he liked the moonwalk. So I think he perhaps was looking at a different film.
Next
I like
year...
that moonwalk bit. Edge is always there. You know, he's so supportive, especially when he sees me be open or be vulnerable, which is our definition of art, was always break open the rib cage, show what's the heart, let it bleed. That was the John Lennon way. And so it starts with heart surgery, starts that moment. That's when the film starts.
The first words of the film, right? You actually say in the film that U2 is a democracy, works as a democracy.
Don't you hate democracies? Bloody democracies. You know, the Tom York from Radiohead said, band, it's like the United Nations, except I'm America. But U2 is an actual democracy. And so, you know, we all listen to each other, and then we do what Edge says.
You know, something I really admire about you is your commitment, your honesty, and the fact that you never hesitated to speak out. How do you feel about the world today, how it's going?
The world is having a bit of a moment. We've had, all my life, every week, every year, every month, the world got more free. You know, the more rights, women, different ethnicities. It was like the world was getting closer and closer to a higher state of consciousness. And then it suddenly started to stop. And I realized, oh my God, we have no evidence to believe that this will just continue by itself. We have to make it happen. Dr. Martin Luther King said, the moral arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice. I say, we discovered it doesn't. It has to be bent. We have to bend it. We have to work together to keep these freedoms, like the Cannes Film Festival, where we can walk down the red carpet, you know, the way we want.
What about our country, France? Because I know you live in France part of the year. Why did you choose France?
Well, one of the reasons I fell in love with France was that France was in love with itself, meaning French people would sing to each other. As I would walk into, you know, the local newsagent here, and I would see them, they're speaking to each other, like singing. And I'm like, wow, I didn't speak very well, but I was like, wow. And then if this stranger walks in, they'd be like, hello. In Ireland, the opposite. In Ireland, the stranger walks in, hello, how are you? It's lovely to see you. And then your next door neighbor, yeah, what do you want? I mean, we're literally the opposite.
I'm sure you speak a little bit of French. What is your favorite sentence or expression?
L'année prochaine, je parle français parfaitement. Maintenant, c'est un grand problème. Monsieur.
Do you have a French idol, a French actor, a French singer that's probably watching you right now?
Oh my, well, that's a really great question. I'm trying to think of my favorite French film, something that just grabbed me when I was a kid. Is it Betty Blue?
Yeah.
Is that piano? Dun, 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 dun.
37 le matin in French.
Oh my Lord. So that changed me. But also, I had the pleasure, the great honor of spending some time with Johnny Hallyday, who's not, you know, just a movie star or a rock star. He's like a figure from fiction. Yeah, I don't know if he existed really, and he came to me and he said, would you write me a song? I said, be a great honor. He said, would you write me a song? I have a blues album that's coming. And I said, yes. I said, I have a title right now. He said, what is that? I said, I Am the Blues. That's my moment with Johnny Hallyday, and I love his family, and it's just something about his way, you know?
Thank you so much, Bono.